Yes, good morning, students. So today we will start our class with the ongoing chapter, that is how do organisms reproduce. So first we will recall what we discussed in our earlier classes. We discussed three different types of asexual reproduction. What were they? First was fission. We discussed about fission, and then we discussed about like fission happened in amoeba. Then we discussed about fragmentation. Fragmentation happened in Spirogyra. And third was, I guess, which one was it? First, it was fission. It happened in amoeba and plasmodium. Second was fragmentation. In fragmentation, it happened in Spirogyra. And third was regeneration, right? Regeneration happened in two different kinds of organisms. One was planaria, the video we saw, and the second planaria, and the second was hydra. So these were the three types of asexual reproduction that we discussed in our earlier classes, right? So this are the diagrams of the three different types of asexual reproduction that we studied, like the fission in amoeba. The first diagram shows the fission in amoeba, and then this second diagram shows the fragmentation that is in Spirogyra, and third diagram shows the what it shows. It shows like it is similar to the fragmentation, but what happens in planaria and hydra are the regeneration process. So this was all about the recalling of our previous class. So coming on to our next slide, it is so what we are going to study today. Today we are going to study is, so yes, today we are going to study is this diagram. So first you have to observe this diagram, and then you have to share your observations, like what you can see in this diagram. So yes, you can see like there is written as budding in hydra. Yes, very good. What else can you see, like what actually is happening in these diagrams, right? As you can see, this is a body, and this is a bud. As you can see, it is mentioned here, and these are the tentacles, right? Like the tentacles the octopus is having. Yes, the tentacles. Okay, so what is happening is, I think something is changing in this bud region. Okay, so here it was small, then it is getting bigger, and then tentacles is also growing, and then it detaches itself. So this is the whole process of budding. Yes, you all answered it correctly. You all explained it correctly, and you all like, yes, you saw the difference between all these diagrams, right? So yes, what is actually happening in budding is, first, in which organism you saw this process of budding? It was seen in the hydra, right? So yes, it was seen in the hydra. What actually happens in budding is, like there is a parent cell which is having a tentacle, like tentacle like structure is there, and there is a small bud in the lower region of the organism, right? As you can see on the screen, that there is this bud right here, and at the lower region what happens is this bud starts to grow, and then the tentacles starts to grow on the bud part, and then this bud gets detached itself from the main parent organism. So this was the process of budding. Budding also comes under the asexual reproduction, and it happens in which organism? As you all told, yes, very good. It happens in hydra. So now we will move on ahead and see some more information, like what more happens in this budding, right? So which kind of cell does hydra use for reproduction? Like we cannot see budding in humans, and many organisms we cannot see budding. What is this special cells that hydra have that helps it to like reproduce through like through the budding process? You have to find it out from the internet, and then you have to share your answers with me. Okay, so I will also give you time for that. So now we will move on ahead. So now there is a question in front of you. The question is, hydra usually reproduces by which method, right? First is fragmentation and budding. second is budding, third is multiple fission and fragmentation, and fourth is budding and multiple fission. So here the correct answer is budding. Yes, the correct answer is budding. So yes, you all answered it correctly. Hydra usually reproduces by budding. We just discussed right now, right? Like there is, okay, so now we will recapitulate this first module. So our first module was about which process or which asexual reproduction? Yes, very good. It was about budding. And in which organism this budding was happening? Yes, very good. Yes, in Hydra. Okay, and what actually happens in this process, in the budding process? Like there is a parent organism, there is, okay, we will move to the slide. Yes, in this slide, as you can see, there is this parent organism, it is having tentacles, it is having a whole body, and then it is having a bud, right? And this bud starts to grow, and it grows and develops, and then it develops separate tentacles, this bud. Okay, so after it is fully matured, the bud is fully matured, it detaches itself from the parent body, right? And it forms into another organism or the daughter organism. So this was the whole process of budding. So now we will move on ahead to our second module. Now you all must be excited, right? Like what we are going to study. Okay, so yes. So there is a picture in front of you. You have to identify what you can see in this picture and how, by which method this plant is growing, and we grow this plant by which method. Yes, you all answered it correctly. That is a rose plant. And how do we grow this rose plant? Like, is it having a seed or by any special method? I don't think it has seeds, right? Because I have not seen seeds in the plant. Yes, yes, you all mentioned it correctly. It is grown by a stem. Like we take a whole rose plant, like if this is a rose plant, we take a whole stem of the rose plant and we can either directly plant it on a tree or on the rose tree that is already existing by cutting a little slicing, or we can do what we can use. Sometimes what we do is we can also usually plant it in soil directly, the stem in soil. It will also grow if we provide it correct nutrition. So yes, this is a very strange method. I know it is a very strange method because we always know that something it grows from the seed, but here it is just going from the stem. So we will read more about this type of reproduction now. Okay. So yes, moving on to our second photograph or second picture. Yes, which vegetable you can see on your screen? Yes, this is a potato. Yes, very good, potato. And yes, I'm marking something in this potato. What is this that you see? These are, we sometimes call it as eyes of potatoes, right? And here you can also see something is growing out of these eyes, a green plant kind of stuff. So these are the plants growing from these potatoes. So this is also a type of reproduction, and both in the type of reproduction in rose plant and the type of reproduction in this potato have a special name, and that reproduction is through the vegetative reproduction, vegetative propagation. So yes, coming to our next topic, that is vegetative propagation. So what happens in vegetative propagation is, let's see. So yes, there are many plants in which parts like roots, stems, and leaves develop into new plants under the appropriate condition, right? Sometimes roots may grow into different, like into a whole different plant in case of potato, because potato is a root. Okay. Yes. And then in certain cases, there are some leaves, like through leaves, a new plant will grow. And then also through stems, also new plants grow. Like in case of rose also, like whole new plant is growing. So these are some of the examples of vegetative reproduction. So yes, what were the examples of vegetative reproduction? There was this rose plant and there was this potato. Okay. So now we will move on ahead and we will see some more details, like how the different process involved in vegetative propagation, right? So this property of vegetative propagation is used in methods such as there is this layering process. Layering, as you can see in this diagram, there is a layering process, or grafting. Grafting is there, like all these are grafting usually used for the rose plant for growing. To grow many plants like sugarcane is there, rose, grapes for agriculture purposes. So these are the different techniques through which we achieve this vegetative propagation. So what were the different techniques? There was the layering. Then what was the other technique? Then there was grafting. Yes, then there was grafting. And these were the two main techniques involved in the vegetative propagation. And more some examples that were discussed in this point were like the sugarcane, right? The sugarcane was there, and the grapes. So these are the different examples and the different techniques involved in the reproduction process of vegetative propagation. So yes, you all answered it correctly. It is vegetative propagation. Yes, now are you all clear, or do you have any doubts? And if you have any doubts, please write your answers or your questions on your chat box. So now we will see some more details, right? So some more proper definitions of vegetative propagation. So yes, what happens in vegetative propagation is plants raised by vegetative propagation can bear flowers and fruits earlier than those produced from seeds. Because why they produce earlier? Because they are grown from a whole part. So they develop faster. That's a reason that they bear fruits and flowers earlier, right? And such methods are also make possible the propagation of plants such as banana, because banana is not having any seeds. So how will it grow? It grows through this vegetative propagation. Then orange, and then rose and jasmine that have lost the capacity to produce seeds. So some plants, those who have lost the capacity to produce seeds, can help with the help of vegetative propagation, they reproduce. And some advantages of vegetative propagation is that all plants produced are genetically similar and similar enough to the parent plant and have all its characteristics. So yes, what are the three main advantages of this vegetative propagation process? First was like plants, they grow earlier with this process, vegetative propagation. So first process was this, right? Second process was like in some plants, what happened is like they have lost the capacity to produce seeds. So they also grow with the help of this vegetative propagation. And the third main point is like these plants which are produced through vegetative propagation are very genetically similar to the parent of plant, right? And they have all the characteristics that a parent plant is having. So these three are the main advantages of this vegetative propagation method, right? So now you all understood what vegetative propagation is, what are its advantage, and what actually happens in it, right? And its different examples also. So yes, this was all about vegetative propagation. And there is a very special example for vegetative propagation. And this is a picture like how this bryophyllum is a plant, produces new plants. It is also related to the vegetative propagation, but how? Through these pictures, you can explain your answers in the comment box, and I will not be giving the answer for this because it is a very interesting question. You will, if you don't know the answer, you can find it on internet. You will get so much more interesting facts about it. And now we will move on ahead. As you can see, something is growing on the leaves. Notice it, and that will be your answer. Right? So now moving on to the next question. Why vegetative propagation does not come under sexual reproduction? Yes, it does not come under sexual reproduction. So for this also you have to answer on the comment box that why does it not comes under the category of sexual reproduction and why only in asexual reproduction. So this is all about our second module, that is vegetative propagation. Now we will move on ahead. Okay. So yes, now moving on ahead. So now there is an image, you have to observe it, and then you have to share your observation, like what you saw in this picture. Yes, very good. Yes, you are saying that you are seeing a slice of a bread. Yes, and like the slice of bread is usually white in color, but in this picture it looks like little bit greenish, blackish, brownish. Yes, means we can just identify from the picture that this slice of bread is not like good for eating, right? Something has grown on it. Yes, you all answered it correctly, that it has been spoiled. Spoiled, yes, and how does it spoil? Yes, because there is some fungi in it, maybe some fungi, maybe something else, something has grown in it. So yes, we will now move on ahead and see some more details, like why this is happening and what is causing the change of color in this piece of bread, right? So yes, now you all have to read the heading, the spore formation in rhizopus. So the change of color in the bread was due to the spore formation process. And this spore formation process also comes under the asexual reproduction. And how and what happens is, like rhizopus is an organism. And what happens in this rhizopus organism or maybe plant? Okay, for this you have to find your answer. Like, is rhizopus an animal or a plant? You have to find it on your own, like what it is actually, right? Okay, so before moving ahead, you have to observe this diagram and then you have to share your observations, like what you observed in this diagram. So yes, we were discussing about the spore formation in rhizopus. So yes, what happens here is there is a sporangia. Sporangia is a pouch-like structure in which there are many spores present. Spores may just be like the pollen grains present in plants. So yes, spores are those very small, uh, microscopic things. So yes, like if this is a plant or an organism or the rhizopus, and this is the hyphae. This and this, both of these are the hyphaes, and then there is spore at the end. And what happens is the bursting of sporangia occurs, and when there is a bursting, the spores they get released into the air, right? They get released into the air. So this is how the asexual reproduction happens with the help of spores. So yes, we will move on ahead with this topic. If you have any doubt, please write your answers in the chat box. So now there is a curiosity question for you. Like, how will an organism be benefited if it is reproduced through spores? You have to find this answer from the internet, and then you can write the answer in chat box. Till then, we will move on ahead. So yes, the rapid spread of bread mold on slice of bread are due to which of these points? Like the presence of large number of spores in air, the presence of large number of thread-like branched hyphae, the presence of moisture and nutrients, or the formation of round-shaped sporangia. So yes, what will be the right answer? You have to comment down below in the comment box. Now, yes, we will come on to the recap part. So what we discussed today, we again discussed 3 different types of asexual reproductions. So first was the budding. Budding in which the budding we saw in the hydra, right? And in budding, what happened is the bud of the parent hydra, it developed, and then it started developing tentacle, and then it detached itself from the parent hydra. So this was the whole process of budding. And then what happened, the second process or the asexual reproduction process we discussed was vegetative propagation, that happened in rose plant, potato, sugarcane, and grapes. And the two techniques that were involved were layering and grafting. And the third process was the spore formation process, right? So spore formation was that occurred in the rhizopus. And here the reproduction occurs, asexual reproduction occurs with the help of spores. So this was all about the recap. Coming to the homework part. So these are some of the questions that you have to solve. And then there is the activity. What you have to do is you have to take a money plant, cut some pieces such that they contain at least one leaf, cut out some other portions between two leaves, dip one end of all the pieces in water and observe over next few days which one grows and which one gives rise to fresh leaves, and what can you conclude from your observation. So you have to write a little observatory report on this activity. So now, yes, this was all for today. So yes, thank you, and we will meet in our next class and continue our lesson in our next class. Okay, so now I will be ending my class here.